Welcome to the Sports Reverends podcast. My name is Dan. I'm joined with my big bro. We know him also as the coach. He is not only a coach on the basketball court, he is also a coach in the stock market. I am a reverend downtown Toronto, also chaplain for Toronto Fire. And we have a very special guest with us here today. You know, usually if you're someone who's married and you hear the word in-laws, your face gets like a raisin and it's cringy. But when I get to say in-laws, I get to rejoice. I love my father-in-law, Pastor Gary, also call him Dad or sometimes even White Dad. Been a pastor for a long time. And Gary, why don't you just share a little bit about yourself? Why don't we just start with that before we get into this work today?
Okay, first of all, I've never been called White Dad by anybody, including you.
Behind your back, maybe.
Yeah, I guess. A little unsettling. How am I doing? I'm doing great.
Yeah.
I'm great. Glad you're here. And glad you brought your wife with you.
Yeah.
Who happens to be my daughter. We're in South Surrey. We live in South Surrey here.
British Columbia.
Yeah, which is kind of strange place to be for like a big time Winnipeg sports fan. But, you know, you got to live somewhere. And winters are less severe here.
Although it is a little chilly.
You can always go and visit there.
That's true.
Yeah,
That's true. Coach, how are you doing? I hear you have a furry friend with you.
I am. I've been voluntold at the dog sit, so I'm doing fantastic. Getting lots of sleep, lots of exercise. But other than that, I'm doing great. Kobe he only puked twice, so that's okay. Yeah, it's been great. Other than that, no, things are good. Weather's good, no snow. We're still no pluses, so he's still kicking around the back somewhere. I'm sure he'll wander around.
Well, I love having both sides of my family here today. And the Sports Reverends show, it's a little different than most. You know, a lot of podcasts, obviously they try to give you something to take away. Some will teach you about fitness. Some will teach you about money. Some will try to make you laugh. We actually have the solution to all your problems. I know that sounds crazy. I know that sounds almost like a gimmick, but that's the truth. We're going to share a little bit about our stories and the things through life that has caused us grief and challenges and storms. And we're going to tell you about the solution, the source that has pulled us out of the mud, pulled us out of the storms. So yeah, you're going to hear some hot sports takes, some very high analysis in sports, but most importantly, you're going to hear about our unapologetic faith. So let's get into it. Coach, why don't you share how this show is going to go?
All right, here's the rundown for today. We have our quick hitters to start off the show. A recap of our Sports Fest 5 from last week and how we did. Week 12 picks. We're going to talk a little bit about basketball, just contenders, pretenders, and contenders. We finally have somebody who understands hockey, so we're going to touch on some hockey today. And then we're going to jump into the real talk with a bit of a Q&A interview with Pastor Gary here. So Dan, why don't you start us off with our quick hitter news?
All right. Pittsburgh Pirates, Paul Skeens, and New York Yankees, Luis Gil, have won NL and AL Rookie of the Year awards.
Yeah, Paul Skeens was a surprise, that's for sure. The New York Giants, sorry, Dad, not so much good news for you, but the New York Giants have demoted Daniel Jones to not QB2, but QB3. His season's done.
Sorry, Brown Dad. Alex Ovechkin is 27 goals away from breaking Wayne Gretzky's NHL goal record. I don't know how I feel about that.
That's an incredible accomplishment, that's for sure. Just today, the New York Jets have fired GM Joe Douglas. Is this the end for Aaron Rodgers' time in New York?
John Bones Jones knocks out Stipe, I don't know if that's how you pronounce it, Miocic with a spinning back kick to win UFC 309. Before we go anywhere else, let's handle some business. Coach doesn't even know about this yet, but we have gone greater than our Amazon affiliate. We have our own Shopify store. It's called the Sports Reverends store. You can actually check it out at thesportsrevs.com, and you can see all the different items that you can buy. And what makes it great is that there's some really quality products on there, and on top of it, you'll get it at a great price. So you can check that out, sportsrevs.com. And on top of it, everything you buy supports the show. So if you want to continue to support the show, obviously keep watching, but also check out the sportsrevs.com. All right, Coach.
That's some good news. That's pretty cool. All right. How do you think we did last week? Just guess.
I think we did decent. I think we went above
Did
500.
okay. We went 3-2. So
Okay.
we picked Washington. They got the L. Pittsburgh got the W. KC surprisingly took the L to Buffalo. LA with the dub, and Houston with the dub on the Monday nighter drubbing of your Dallas Cowboys.
That was our
That's
gimme.
not-
That was our gimme for the week.
That was the gimme for the week. Absolutely. Okay, so coming up this week, we have Pittsburgh at Cleveland on the Thursday nighter.
And here's the deal. We all have to come to agreement for which we choose to win. So that's where the debate will come in.
That's the deal. Yeah. So Pittsburgh at Cleveland, Thursday night game. Why don't you start us off, Gary?
Sure. Well, Pittsburgh. I mean, come on. They're smoking, and Cleveland, they're kind of going in the tank. So I think Pittsburgh's going to take it on the road.
I only worry about divisional. The divisional games are usually, they beat each other up. You never know. Maybe Jameis Winston has one of those Jameis Winston games where he goes a little crazy. But he could also have the 3-pick Jameis Winston game. But yeah, I probably lean towards Pittsburgh. I think that's pretty easy to pick. The pretty easy favorites for sure.
Yeah, I think after the last game where they kind of clinched it out there, Pittsburgh is definitely favored here, and I don't think they will give it up that easy to Cleveland. Pittsburgh's on a roll. Cleveland's used to getting smoked, so I think we're solid there, taking Pittsburgh as our choice for the Thursday nighter. So I'm just gonna write that down. We got Pittsburgh. The next game I thought we should look at was San Francisco at Green Bay. Another NFC matchup. Two teams that are underperforming, I would say, a little bit. But
Green Bay's been good.
Wow. Okay. I'm a San Francisco bias, right? So
Okay.
I have to.
You go first
lump
then,
them in
Mr.
there.
Bias.
All right. I'm thinking this is at Green Bay. I saw Brock Purdy being hurt again on the list, so the injuries are pounding up. I think we're taking Green Bay at home. I think taking Green Bay at home. It's tough. I know it's tough, but Green Bay at home. Walking Dead coming into Green Bay.
Really?
San Francisco's, they're 500. Like, who would have thought beginning of the year they'd be 500? But yeah, I'm agreeing.
Okay.
Totally Green Bay at home.
Even after a letdown spot, they already had their letdown game against the Seahawks last week.
They've had a lot of letdown games.
But that was pre-McCaffrey. Now they got McCaffrey back. He's now got a couple games under his legs.
I think
really we're gonna go Green Bay over.
I think we're going Green Bay. Shout out to Drew Martin.
Jordan Love.
Give me one more reason.
Jordan Love.
No,
he's been playing all right. The Green Bay's been playing all right. I know that.
I think Green Bay has been. I think they're set to do something special the next couple of weeks. I think they're just ready to roll.
And it's home, and it's getting colder.
Yeah.
So.
All right, I'll bend with a little anger in my heart though, because I don't think they actually are going to win. But I'll give it to you guys. Okay, Green Bay. I'll go Green Bay.
You're the youngest child. You should be used to it. Arizona at Seattle. Now, this is an interesting game because there's a lot of playoff implications here. And Kyler Murray has been playing. The Call of Duty hasn't really impacted him, I think.
No, it has not.
Why don't you give us your take on this one?
Yeah, I'm definitely all in Arizona. I'm all in Arizona.
Totally. I was going Seattle. I was going Seattle. They're at home. They got the big crowd at home.
I think their crowd has been a non-factor this year.
It's less and less of it.
And Arizona's been a big surprise. They've been really good, even in the tough games. And now with and they're coming off a bye. That's why they're coming off a bye as well. Statistically, teams coming off a bye that are above 500 usually have they have a high percentage to win. So
well, I'm still liking Seattle, but I'll go along with you. I think I'll be proven right at the end of the weekend, but I'll go with you guys.
All right, we got everybody. We got bending here a little bit by everybody. So we'll take Arizona.
Yes,
but just barely. We'll put it that way. Let's see here. Next on the docket, we have Philly at the Rams.
It's a good week.
I think it's a really good game. It is the Sunday nighter, so I think primetime viewing. They're in Inglewood, so it's a warm weather game. Gary, what are your thoughts?
Well, I was gonna say this is a NFC East here. team. And first off, I have to say, I don't know how you guys were raised by a father who cheered for the Giants. Like, how did you not come out kind of a little bit disturbed? But anyway, so I personally hate every team in the NFC East except Dallas, of course, God's team. But I do. But I actually am liking the Rams in this game. I've kind of leaned toward home teams. I think it's a big factor, even though the LA crowd is kind of a non-issue. But I like them. I think Cooper Kupp is back. Nakua's so they got the two receivers there going full throttle. Stafford's looking fine, like normal. And Philly, has had some ups and downs this year. So that's my take. I think LA, it's a surprise. I think they're the underdog probably, but I'm liking the Rams.
Dan, what about you?
Yeah, I go Rams as well. I think Jalen Hurts has been a turnover machine, and the Rams are ascending. I think they really have a shot to make some noise even when they get to the playoffs. I think that offense is really potent, and Sean McVay is a much better coach than what Philly has to deal with. So Philly, you don't know what Philly's going to do. I don't think the coach knows what they're going to do. So
yeah, I definitely agree with that. Matthew Stafford last week was 18 for 27, almost 300 yards and 4 TDs. I think we can expect to see something similar this week. The coaching, I think, is the biggest gap there is which Philadelphia teams can come out. So glad we're all on the same with that one. So we go the Rams and the Monday Nighter. Baltimore at LA. Who's coming out on this one? Chargers, or do we see a rebound by the Baltimore team who might desperately need the win?
You going first?
Oh, no, you go ahead.
Okay. Yeah, Baltimore, like you said, off a tough loss. Lamar Jackson is seeing his MVP position flipped to number 2 according to the books. So I think he's going to come out on fire. This Chargers defense is really good, though. I don't know. This Chargers defense is really good. It's going to be a low-scoring game. It's going to be. Let's take the under. That's it. I don't know. I don't know who's going to win this.
I'm not sure. It's the toughest. It's the toughest pick of the week of the
absolutely.
5, anyway.
That's why you pay you the big bucks, Gary. Come on.
I've never been a Ravens fan. I'm warming up to Jackson.
Yeah, well, share what you shared with me about him.
I think he's become more of a leader this year, and so players are respecting him more. I think, but their defense has been sucking pretty bad, surprisingly, because that's what they're known for. But
it's a staple of Baltimore.
And I think Harbaugh has stiffened up the defense of the Chargers. So I'm liking the Chargers here.
Oh, okay.
I'm liking the Chargers. I lean to home team, even though the LA factor is non-issue, but I still like them.
I thought for sure you're going to say Baltimore because you're hyping up Lamar. But
that's where I thought you were going to. But
it's a tough one, right?
Coach,
I think it's going to be I think you're right. It's going to be a low-scoring game. Baltimore, I think Lamar has definitely grown as both a passer and a leader. But I give the edge to LA because low-scoring game, you're at home. A lot of pressure is on Baltimore, right? They are supposed to just really run through the whole division. They're supposed to be on the top dog. Started off strong, and they've had a free fall last couple of weeks. I think the pressure plus flying cross country is going to be a bit of a problem as well. I'm picking the Rams or the Chargers here. We'll go with the LA sweep, and we'll see how we do next week.
Okay,
so that's for the Sports Revs 5. We got Pittsburgh, a hesitant Green Bay, a hesitant Arizona, the Rams, and the Chargers. So let's see how you guys stack up this week. And again, let us know in the comments what you guys think will go this week. Okay. Let's quickly fly through this. Gary, you can pipe in if you want, but this is mostly for Daniel. NBA contenders and pretenders. We got the top 5 teams here in the East and the West. Give me your initial thoughts. 1 sentence of contender, pretender. Let's start with the Cleveland Cavaliers. What do you got? Contender, pretender.
This is contending for a championship?
Yes.
Not just for the first place in the East. First place in the East, I could see them win first place in the East. They're doing great. They are not championship caliber team. I do not believe in Donovan Mitchell being their closeout guy. I don't care what your regular season schedule is. You cannot have Donovan Mitchell as your 1A to lead you to a championship.
Okay. That's a hot take.
Yeah.
Just to let you know, this is the first time in I think 20 years that they've had 4 scores of 20 points per game in Cleveland. So they're cooking. But big matchup tonight against Boston, who is number 2. Contenders or pretenders?
Boston, absolute contenders. They are by far this kills me in the heart, but they are by far the deepest team and the best team.
We should be playing the Sweet Caroline anthem out of the end of the show here, hey? Orlando, the surprise number 3 seed right now.
Also pretenders. Orlando with the loss of what's his name? Star player
Pablo
Banchero. Pablo Banchero. Gary, you didn't know Pablo Banchero?
Come on.
No, yeah, with the loss of Pablo Banchero, I think he's going to take a time to recover from that injury. I don't think he's going to be the same this year.
Yeah,
I think they're deep, but I don't think they're going to be ready for contending.
All right. Gary's going to say Escobar after Pablo, but that's okay. We got the New York Knicks in the 4th slot.
The New York Knicks, they are not putting it together right now, but I 100% believe in them. I think they're absolute contenders. I think Jalen Brunson's the real deal. I think Cat is also his great number 2 that can alleviate the scoring for him. The defensive end will need work, and they need to pick up someone before the trade deadline to fill up their bench, but I believe they can do that. New York is the real deal.
Good thing Brunson took less money, hey?
Yes.
And number 5, very surprising number 5, the Atlanta Hawks.
Atlanta Hawks are absolute pretenders. I don't think they make the playoffs by the time season is over.
Okay. Easy said. Heading over to the West, which is a little more harder to predict here. Let's start with the number 5 slot here. Phoenix Suns in number 5.
Absolute contenders. The way Durant was playing before injury, they were in my opinion, best team in the West. They were that good. Durant is the X factor, and they kind of made him the top dog finally above Devin Booker.
About time. Houston Rockets.
Also pretenders. They maybe make the play-in game. I don't think they're that good at all. I think they're a play-in team.
No love
and they
for
will
Fred
lose
VanVleet.
the play-in. They're not making the playoffs. There you go.
Wow. Okay. You heard it here first. LeBron James and the LA Lakers in the 3 seed.
Absolute pretenders as well. They're relying on 41-year-old LeBron to get was on his 5th back-to-back triple-double. It's too much to ask for him. Anthony Davis needs to be their number 1, and they have no bench to fill it up. They're pretenders. They're competing for an 8th spot, 7th spot.
We predicted that in our tier list. Let's see what comes through. Golden State Warriors, the GSW.
I think this has been the biggest surprise. I think Golden State's for real. They got a really deep team. Their bench is number 1, I believe, all time in production, which has been huge for them. Buddy Hield and the pieces they picked up. Contenders.
Yeah, they're playing like 11 guys deep, which is almost insane. Is it sustainable? We'll find out. And OKC
also depends on Chet Holmgren, but contenders. SJ seems to even take a next step already. I think maybe the Olympic
he was the man.
Play has really helped him. They're going to be deadly. Contenders.
Okay, I love it. Let us know in the comments, YouTube and Instagram, what you guys think. Is Daniel right or wrong? Is he off his rocker? You know, we'll have lots of things to say about that. Okay, time to hit the ice. I love the flag in the background there. Representing on the West Coast. Let's talk about and the hat. Let's talk about the Winnipeg Jets, the number 1 team in the NHL. I think the best start ever by any hockey team.
Yes.
Gary, what's been going right for the Jets?
Top first ever 16 games in 15 wins. Yeah, amazing. I never ever imagined this happening, because the Jets kind of over the past many years, even I would say even tracing their way all the way back to 2011 when they came back, the team came back from Atlanta. I would say that they've been kind of playing to the opposition, right? So good teams, they step up their game. The crummy teams, they kind of bottom out. And they tend to win a ton of games by like one goal. That's been their MO for the last,
Yeah.
whatever, 12 years. Um, even in their best years, they were doing that. So this year has been just a complete turnaround. And I've always screamed at the TV, watching them saying, you guys got to press it. You're ahead by one goal. You're ahead by two even. Keep pushing it. Keep driving to the net. And they kind of back off, historically. This year, it's like they're doing it. And they're winning games by like 4 or 5 goals and still pressing it in the third period, even though they got a lead of 2 or 3 goals. So I've been impressed, and I don't know actually where it came from, because basically it's got you got the same squad as last year. There's a few little changes here and there. Coach, coach was an associate coach last year, so there's maybe a little bit there. They've definitely stepped up the power play. They got the best power play in the league, and that was not
Yeah.
happening last year. Last year was horrible. So, they're on their special teams. They've been a lot more improved. That's really helped the game, overall production. But yeah, overall, I've just been shocked. I've been shocked.
Yeah, I think that's a really great analysis, especially because end of last year they kind of just fell off. The wheels fell off the bus. You're right. They brought back the same guys basically. Scott Arniel has jumped in, and maybe he's had more say this time around, and had to be a little more quiet when he was an associate coach. But realistically, let's take the hometown bias out of it. Looking at just how they've been playing, do you think this is an actual cup contender, or is this just a flash in the pan?
They're contenders. I mean, they're definitely contenders. Anybody who says they're not a cup contender at this point anyway is like, it's cuckoo. Like they're all the way cup contenders. Still, like, even though they've lost the last 2 games, and I'm not holding my breath even on tonight, which is Tuesday, playing the Panthers at home, Stanley Cup champs, home and home series. I'm not sure that they're gonna even pull that one out. But even if they lost that one, that's 3 games in a row, but they'd still be top in the league. Fifth right now, like what, 15-3? They're definitely contenders. Are they the top contender? If I were to pick, I don't know. I don't know if are you asking me? Am I
That's the
picking
next.
who
That
I
was a
think
follow up question.
is
You're reading
going
my
to be
brain. So yeah,
going to be
if
in?
not the Jets,
They
who are your
could
top 3
definitely
or
be
4
in the
guys?
final. They could
Sure.
definitely be in the final. But I'm kind of leaning toward Carolina, or maybe, well, it's Carolina, the Rangers, or the Panthers. And I kind of think the Panthers, if I were to pick one, I'd pick the Panthers, probably. It's
Okay,
tough,
I like
It's
it.
early in the year, not even
Repeat.
what a quarter. It could be.
Okay.
They know how to do it, right?
Yeah.
That's
And I
right.
think
That's
in
right.
a lot of cases with sports, if in the pros, if you once you figured out the formula, it's easy to repeat it, right?
Absolutely.
And the Rangers, when was the last time the Rangers won a cup? I mean, I forget. Rangers have won once, and they got a good team. They got a really solid team. They're young. They're they got good puck movement. They're really stepped it up. They're a good team.
Awesome.
But I'm liking the Jets from the West, and maybe it would be an interesting final.
Yeah.
Jets going up against Paul Maurice.
Yeah.
The former
Yeah. A
coach.
lot of storylines
That
there.
would be very, very cool, especially with Paul Maurice's comment after winning the cup last year, where he said,
Mm.
"I hope Winnipeg, when the Jets get a chance to do this," and I thought he even said next year.
Yeah. Snuck it in there, maybe. Here's the last question before we handle some business. What do you think of Utah's name? Kind of
You
random,
mean
right?
the HC, the
Utah Hockey Club.
non-name?
Yeah. Like
Well,
I know they had a
I think
short
it's temporary.
turnaround, but like
I think it's temporary. I think that was my understanding. They're going to hold on to that just for the year, and then they're doing a naming contest or something. I'm not a big fan. I know it's big in soccer around the world and stuff, but I'm not a huge fan. I think there's lots of there's got to be I don't know what the thing is in Utah. Yaks, or I don't know what they got in Utah.
My favorite was Sister Wives.
Yeah, or the Utah Brethren or something like that.
Something like that.
Brother.
Yeah.
It's 2024. They'd probably go brethren and sister, and so
yes. But hey, if you want a solid investment, maybe getting one of those Utah hockey jerseys might be one to just tuck away and let that sit for a little bit, because it's one season and that's it. That's all you're gonna get.
But it's interesting. I got to get this in. They're actually the Winnipeg Jets too. They're the first version of the Jets.
That's right. Very true.
Who came from Arizona? Who came from Winnipeg?
There you go.
It's true.
Hey, we'll see.
That's good.
So that would be an interesting Western final this year.
That's true.
The Jets could play against the Jets.
There you go. All right. Thanks for that analysis, Gary. Appreciate the thoughts. Let's handle some business here. Talking about investments, if you are looking to earn a second source of income, plan your retirement, fund a wedding, all sorts of things, or even just learn about how to be more financially literate, check us out at www.train2invest.com, train2invest.com. We have a free ebook there. Love for you to download it, check it out, ask questions. How has inflation impacted your returns? What is inflation? What are returns? What's investing? All those basic questions they don't teach you in school or university. We are here to teach you. It's a course where we aim to change lives and change perspectives. And we want you to share that with you, and also you to share that with your family and create generational and prosperous wealth that way. So if you are looking to understand more about the stock market, more about how you're going to retire, or even what retirement is, check us out, www.train2invest.com, train2invest.com. Download the free ebook and get in contact with us. Love to hear from you. Okay. Business has been handled. Sports has been talked about. Time for the best part of the show, the Real Talk section. This week, as you guys know, we have Pastor Gary on the show. So why don't you give us a quick intro, Daniel, and we can roll from there.
Yeah, Pastor Gary, I think when he first, when I was staying at his house visiting before I was married to his daughter, he came home from work one day and he saw sports on the television. I think that's one of the times I just saw his face light up with joy, because I don't think that's ever happened for him, living with two daughters and his wonderful, my mother-in-law Sandra.
A hallelujah moment.
Yeah, it was a hallelujah moment. And then found out that he also loves the Dallas Cowboys, the Winnipeg Jets, the Toronto Raptors, and of course the Toronto Blue Jays. So what are the chances of that? I think it was destiny to have my father-in-law be wise and love the right teams, God's teams.
Wow. Okay.
But Gary, Pastor Gary, I'm just going to call you Gary. Why don't you share a little bit about your ministry history, and why don't you share how sports and faith have collided in your life in a positive way?
Okie dokie. I just want to add too, I think we both cheer for, sad to say, Winnipeg Blue Bombers.
Oh, yes. Oh, man, it's been
a bad
was
week.
tough.
Wow. It's been rough. Anyway, in terms of ministry, I pastored for 30 plus years. Was a youth pastor in Vancouver area for about 5-6 years, and then pastored up the north coast of BC, Prince Rupert, BC. Went after there about 7 years there. We went to Africa, and I taught in a college, theological training people to be pastors there. For about a year, filled in for some other guys, and then came back to Canada and I pastored in Thunder Bay, Ontario for about 15 years. That's where we worked together. Dan was a youth pastor there, and that's where we all met, I guess, in Thunder Bay, including Joel too.
That's right.
And since then, I haven't been pastoring. I came back to BC, and I've been in the publishing business.
Whoa. You're always a pastor, 24/7. That's right. That's you.
Yeah.
That's you.
Yeah. So I publish a magazine for the community, the city of Burnaby. And so I always say I'm a pastor in general to the people of Burnaby.
Go. What's the name of the magazine?
It's called surprisingly, What's on Burnaby. It's an events magazine. Yeah. Community magazine.
So how has faith and sports collided in a positive way in your life?
Well, I was thinking, where did sports kind of enter my life as a kid? I my dad, loved my dad, he was a great guy and massive influence in my life. But my dad did not kind of lead me into sports. He had, teams that he kind of generally cheered for in NHL. And of course, in Winnipeg, we all cheered for the Bombers, but my dad hated the NFL to his dying day,
Hmm.
hated the NFL. I could never convince him and always laughed at him about that. But yeah, he did not really, like a lot of guys, their dad maybe coached them or something. My dad took me out skating a couple of times, and I was a little kid and I hated it. I was stand up on the skates. So my dad didn't have a lot of influence. I got into sports as a kid mostly through sports cards. I think that was really the first thing. I collected hockey cards. All my friends did. Started collecting hockey cards and learned more about sports that way. Football cards, baseball cards, got into football, baseball. We didn't have a lot of basketball cards back then, so that's why again, I know nothing about, I should say nothing, but I
No,
know next to nothing about the NBA. But yeah, I learned a lot about hockey. And then I started playing hockey around 11, 12, 13 years old and played on a few teams. Uh, Finally learned how to stand up on skates and could
There you go.
actually skate. And yeah, played on a few teams, played a little bit my teen years and played in college a little bit. So yeah, I loved hockey. Hockey's been my number one sport all through the years. But really grew to love football, and of course, the Cowboys. I started watching them. I remember the first game that I watched of the NFL. It was Super Bowl 1972, Dallas Super Bowl six, Dallas Cowboys and the Miami Dolphins, 24-3. Roger Staubach's Super Bowl MVP as the Dallas Cowboys won. And it was as far as like the intersection of sports and Christianity. Those guys, Roger Staubach and the coach of the Cowboys at that time, Tom Landry, they were kind of influential in that because they were both Christians. Roger Staubach, a Catholic guy, but a committed believer, and Tom Landry was a deeply devout Christian as the coach of the Cowboys. They were called and how are still called America's team, but of course, as Cowboys fans, we know that they're God's team. And so, yeah, it just I was impressed whenever I came across Christian athletes like them or Christian sports personalities, and because I love sports so much and just the connection, and yeah, I don't know. I love that. That was a big factor in my life, and yeah.
Yeah, that's
Coach.
awesome.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I think that's great and a great testimony for sure to how sports has impacted your life. Do you have a favorite, you know, athlete moment with God, maybe in your own playing wise, or something that you saw on TV that really just stuck out with you?
Well, there were people like I grew up in Winnipeg, and there were in our church there were athletes that they would bring in every now and then who'd come and share about their faith in our church. And I remember was the one of the goalies to the Winnipeg Jets. Played in the
Wow.
NHL before before the Jets were around, and then the Jets brought him in. Played all through the years the Jets were in the World Hockey Association, all through my teen years in the
Wow.
'70s. Joe Daly, who still lives in Winnipeg and still runs a sports card
That's right.
business near Polo Park in Winnipeg. But Joe Daly came in and shared about how he, had his life was a mess, and he came to know Jesus, and his life was changed. And even though I became a Christian when I was a little kid, hearing these athletes like Joe Daly and other ones. You know, there were guys in the Bombers who came in and shared about their faith as well, and then of course the influence of other ones from far away, like Tom Landry and Roger Staubach, and lots of others. Hearing these, it kind of just reinforced, what I already believed, and I thought, wow, if these guys can follow Jesus in their field, I can follow Jesus in whatever I'm doing. So yeah, those were moments. I still remember being at that banquet where Joe Daly shared about his faith. It was really cool.
Yeah, the last couple of weeks we've looked at destiny and legacy and how leaving your faith legacy is going to look like, what it looks like here on earth. And today what I was thinking about is, as Christ followers, not just pastors, but Christ followers, we are called to share and lead people to the hope of the world, to lead people to Jesus. That's our heartbeat. How has sports been and your faith, how has that worked in your life, of how you've impacted the people that you've ministered to?
Well, anyone who's been in a church that I've pastored has kind of been inundated with sports stories, sports. In fact, Dan, you were telling me yesterday about an event, about a service where I talked about the big trade, the Dallas Cowboys trade of Herschel Walker to Minnesota Vikings back years ago in the 80s, I believe it was, where the Cowboys got this huge haul. So
The greatest trade in history.
that's
Jerry
right.
Jones is still living off that.
Oh man, we are all still living off of it. I love that trade. But yeah, it was. I'd forgotten all about the fact that I had shared about that in a service and taken a fair bit of time to talk about it, as I recall. But yeah, so anyone who's been in churches that I've pastored, I've had a few old ladies roll their eyes as I start talking sports. I've seen it. Uh, Another sports story, another sports analogy. Yeah, it's quite a big part of where I of the stuff that I've shared, and just seeing all of the similarities between well, for example, like being on a team.
Mhm.
In a church, you're part of a group of people who are deeply committed to each other, not just deeply committed to Christ, but committed to each other and loving each other and caring about each other. And, so when you hear about a team, or you hear stories about, a team, especially a championship team, you hear stories from them about how these guys, they hang out with each other. They support each other to the nth degree. I was hearing, I just saw something today about how a guy here in Vancouver, J, JT, what's his name? You guys don't know him
Hockey.
because he's hockey.
Jock.
But anyway, he's a star here in Vancouver on the Canucks, and he had to take time off for personal reasons. And whatever it was, he has to do that. But one of the other players on the Canucks says, "Hey, we stand behind this guy. We stand behind JT all the way."
JT Miller.
JT
Miller.
Miller. Oh yeah, there you go.
I looked it up.
But I love that. That they stand behind him. You know, if you follow sports and you love a team, and I of course don't love the Canucks, but if you follow a team, you hate to see a guy injured because he's not playing. You hate to see a guy take time off for personal reasons. Not because you don't care about him, but you really want his contribution on the ice or on the court or whatever, right? But for those guys who are on that team, they care about the guy, right? We as sports fans, we often forget these are real guys, real families. They got kids, they got parents who they're concerned about, and other family members. So when I saw that about JT Miller, I thought that's really cool that the team is right behind him. Of course, they're going to miss him on the ice, but they care more about the guy. And to me, like, that's a great analogy. That's how a church should be, right? You care about each other, and of course, you care about everyone. Anyone that comes along. So
That's
it's
good.
just one of those analogies of how sports connects,
No,
Awesome.
that's great. That's great. I think you hit the nail on the head there. It's important to care because we always hear the sports side of business come through, right? And having these real stories is more humanizing for sure, and it's applicable to both when you're at work or you're with your friends, but especially with the other fellow faith believers. I really like what you said a little bit ago when you heard Joe Daly's stories. Like, yeah, if these guys can follow Christ in their profession, these guys are professional athletes. They have all sorts of temptations, all sorts of things that come their way. I'm not saying that individually ours are not as temptations, but I can persevere and follow Christ that way as well. And I think, we often shy away from the fact that, oh, maybe I should share something. And this kind of ties into what we were talking about before the last couple of weeks is being obedient. And, it doesn't matter if you're a superstar or just somebody working at McDonald's, right? If the opportunity comes, you should share because God is going to do something with that.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, well, exactly. Well, I just was thinking about Harrison Butker,
Yeah.
He's another guy
Yeah.
injured.
Kansas City Chiefs kicker.
That's right. And this past summer he was asked to share at a commencement of some school, college, I don't know. And he shared pointedly about what he believed
Mhm.
and just shared about his own family's experience, his wife, and so on. He got, roundly kicked around the block there for what he shared, but it was it was pretty impressive how he was bold, to share what he
Yeah.
believed.
And it's funny because you say the media shows that he got kicked around, but his jersey sold out. People loved
That's
it,
right.
right? They
That's
ate
right.
it up.
Yeah.
Like they agreed with it. And so that's awesome. Last, any words of encouragement here, Gary, for everybody listening out there who maybe starting their faith journey, have been on their faith journey for a long time. Just drop some words of wisdom or that you definitely have to share.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. For sure. Well, this is all about Jesus.
Mm,
What we experience in life, and whether we're into sports or not. It's we have to realize we're not here forever, and
mm,
at some point in sports, a career ends. Whether it's an injury or whether it's just playing it out like Alex Ovechkin. Eventually, someday, the guy might be done. But every career ends, and in our lives, we all don't know how long we've got, and at some point, we're gonna kick the bucket. And are we ready? Are we ready to stand before God? Because
mm.
that's what's going to happen in the end. And if we're not ready to stand before God, well, then we need to make some decisions. And believing in Jesus is what it's all about. Again, believing in someone who's bigger than you. Sports, we the thing we need to always learn is that there's always going to be another champion. But
Mm.
in life, there is a champion who is Jesus, and he will win in the end. And you want to be on the winning side, right?
Amen. It's good.
Amen. That's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah, you're right. We don't always know who won last year, but Jesus has won forever. So that's awesome. Thanks for that, Gary. Thanks for joining with us today. As you guys know, we love to have fun here on the Sports Reference Podcast. Lately, it's been Daniel sniffing a lot of smelling salts, which has been
I
phenomenal
lost a
for
lot of bets.
me. He loses a lot. It's been great. It's been phenomenal. I've loved it. Last bet. Tell me what you lost last time.
So I'm never going to not cheer for the Cowboys. And the Cowboys played the 49ers a few weeks ago. And I said, I'll stand with them, my team. I was kind of hoping all the 49ers injuries, the guys wouldn't come back, but they came back for that game. And yeah, we got our butt kicked. And I had to sniff smelling salts, and we're a 49ers hat. But what's
I just
next, coach? What's
I
next, okay?
we'll
This
we'll
is where
figure
I
it
get
out.
payback. All
We'll
right?
figure it out. I just prayed harder than you did that week. That's okay. We have a last game to wrap up for today. Dan, why don't you tell us what it is?
The game is called. We've played this game before with our brother Drew. It's called Who Said It? And what you guys are gonna do, I'm gonna read you a quote, and you're gonna have to choose whether it was said by a sports reverend or by one of the mainstream media. And you get bonus points if you can name the exact person who said it. Okay, and this is from all of the sports reverends' time of being alive, and this is just for this year mainstream sports media. Okay,
Well,
so
it's a good thing I've watched all the sports reverends.
yes, we got the number one follower with us today. So here we go. Here we go.
I don't even remember what I said half the time.
I'm going to read the quote, and then we'll start with Coach, then Gary, and then the next question we'll start with Gary, then Coach, and then. For the first time in the Mahomes era, the Chiefs will not make the AFC title game.
That's got to be mainstream media.
Mainstream media, do you have a guess of who it is?
I want to say... No, I'm going to pass on that. I'm going to pass. I'm not sure. Yes.
Yeah, I agree in mainstream media.
Yeah.
And I think it's got to be something, which for something as stupid as that, it's got to be Stephen A.
All right, here it is. You guys are both correct. It is mainstream media, but it was Brad Gannon from Bleacher Report. He's the lead reporter in Bleacher Report. The rest of them will be more of the known guys, but he's a pretty big name actually. And that phrase that went pretty viral. Okay,
I thought it was Stephen A. Smith too. So we're on the same track.
Maybe he'll show up in this show. We'll see. Okay, here we go. The Dallas Cowboys will win the NFC East and make it to the Super Bowl against the Kansas City Chiefs.
Yeah. It's got to be you guys.
You guys, do you have a guess of who it would be?
Of course, it's you.
Okay, Coach.
I'm gonna say mainstream media. Media. I'm gonna say, who would it be?
Skip.
Yeah, it's not. I'm gonna go Skip Bayless because he's kind of ridiculous.
Okay, Gary's taking the lead because it was the sports reverends and it was me. Yes, come on, Coach.
All right.
All right, next one. The Golden State Warriors will struggle to make the play-in game.
Ooh, that's gonna be us, and I'm gonna say it was you.
Okay,
that's Gary? My guess.
I have to agree. I think it was sports reverends. But since Joel is saying it's you, that means it wasn't him, and I'm going to guess it can't be you because it's crazy. It's got to be Drew.
Okay, you guys are both correct. It was the sports reverend, but the coach himself said it this year. Video proof.
Guys, I promise you, I don't remember half the stuff I'm saying.
Can you keep track of the score here?
Yeah, I'll keep track.
Okay, here we go. Justin Fields has shown that the starting position is his. The Steelers would be fools to start Russell Wilson.
Ooh.
My turn. Okay, I'm thinking mainstream media fools. I'm going back to Stephen A. Smith.
Okay.
Sounds like something he would say.
Okay.
Can you read the quote one more time?
Justin Fields has shown that the starting position is his. The Steelers would be fools to start Russell Wilson.
Yeah, I'm going to go mainstream media, but I have zero idea who said that. It doesn't seem like... I always just guess Stephen A. Smith. He's my go-to for ridiculous takes, but I'm just going to say mainstream media. And if there's extra points, it's all Gary's. Gary
knocks it out of the park. Double points, Stephen A. Smith. The fools would be starting Russell Wilson. Stephen A. Brilliance right there.
Good to see Stephen A.
Brilliance right there. Let me give you two more because I got one that I really want to end with. Okay, Aaron Rodgers' downfall. Well, it's well deserved. It couldn't happen to a more smug, cavalier, condescending guy.
I'm gonna say it's mainstream media, and that's Colin Cowherd.
Colin Cowherd. Okay. Gary.
I am thinking mainstream media too, but since that last one was Stephen A., I am stuck. I don't know who else would. It's an insightful comment too, so it can't be Stephen A. I don't know.
Okay,
it's okay.
Hopefully Stephen A. Smith is not watching today.
All right, you guys are both correct. It was mainstream media, but it was Stephen A.'s new counterpart, Shannon Sharp. Shannon Sharp with the Aaron Rodgers. This was in the past couple of weeks you said that. Okay, so I wanted to end with this one for a specific reason, okay? It's pretty nice. I don't deserve his grace and his mercy, but he still gives it to me, and I love him for that.
Is this mine?
Whoever
This
wants
is
to go
mine.
first, yeah.
Gary, if you got a guess,
Well,
please
it's
by
not
all means.
mainstream media. Wait, unless this is
But-
say that again. It's a good quote. Let's hear it.
I don't deserve his grace and mercy, but he still gives it to me, and I love him for that.
Or you guys. I think you pulled a fast one on us, and I think it is mainstream media. And I think I can't remember his name. See, because I don't watch basketball, but it's the host of the basketball
Ernie Johnson?
TNT.
Ernie Johnson.
Ernie Johnson.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
I'm liking that one.
That's a good one. That's a good one.
Good pull.
Wow. For a guy who doesn't watch
I can
basketball,
hear
that's a
him
good one.
saying it.
Okay, I'm gonna go because that's really good. I'm gonna go opposite. I'm gonna go sports revs, and I'm gonna go myself. I'm gonna go myself.
Okay.
We'll see.
It is mainstream media. This is actually CJ Stroud on a podcast.
Okay.
And he ended up going forward with this. He says, I couldn't be up here. I couldn't do anything on that field without my Lord and Savior. He's given me a sense of peace, even when everything around me is going crazy. Shout out
And
CJ
here I
Stroud.
thought I could be so eloquent.
See, and I didn't see him. I saw him as a player, not mainstream media.
Yeah, it was on
a podcast.
Yes, that's a bit of that's okay. That's how Daniel rolls with these
Yeah,
games.
So the winner was?
I'm counting up real quick here. Definitely Gary. 1, 2,
Even
3,
with
4, 5,
no
6, 7,
hockey
7
questions
to,
in there.
yeah, 7-3 for Gary. Couple double
7
points in there.
to 3 takes out the coach. Good job, Gary. Way to
Good job,
go.
Gary. Good job, Gary.
How come Joel doesn't have to wear like a Cowboys hat?
Gary, because this was not a bet between me and Daniel. This was just a game.
Yes.
Yeah,
You gotta
yeah.
make a wager
Let's
next
not
time.
put
Next time.
thoughts in
That's the
there.
beauty.
Let's not put thoughts there, okay?
All right, coach, wrap it up.
All right, guys, thanks for joining with us. We had a really good time with Gary, who's always welcome back on the show. Please make sure you like, subscribe, share with your friends. Check us out on X, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. Links in the description for our Shopify, our Shopify link. So go check us out there. The page looks really, really good. And as always, we love you guys, love God, love others, and share this with your friends because you never know who's going to need it. That's it for us. Peace.
Peace. Go Jets.